Hello and welcome to Midday Update. Coming up are the headlines for the day. Eid Al-Adha holidays announced in Oman. Mask mandate back in health institutions across Oman. 10,000 saplings of mangrove planted in Dhofar. Labour Ministry announces job opportunities in Al-Dakhliya. WHO says pregnant women and children are vulnerable to monkeypox. Putin warns Sweden and Finland over NATO troops. Sri Lankan president to visit UAE to procure fuel. Home stars Raducanu and Murray knocked out at Wimbledon. Championship leader Al-Hadi targeting more LMGT silverware as Elms resumes at Monza. Those are the headlines. Now for the local stories for the day. Eid Al-Adha holidays for the public and private sectors will start from Friday, July 8, 2022 until Tuesday, July 12th. Official working hours will resume on Wednesday, July 13, 2022. Now for the rest of the local stories. The Ministry of Health has made it a compulsion for all health workers, patients and visitors to wear a mask at health institutions to reduce the risk of spreading COVID-19 across the Sultanate of Oman. MOH said in a circular that in the last few days, it has noticed an increase in the number of COVID-19 cases among health workers and outbreaks at the level of health institutions, that's government and private, especially with the increase in gatherings and community events and the opening of travel to many countries. In light of this, the Directorate General of Disease Surveillance and Control recommends the following measures. Health workers, patients and visitors are required to wear a mask inside the corridors of health institutions, encouraging health workers to take the booster dose of the COVID-19 vaccine for those who have received the last dose more than 6 to 9 months back. Examination and early sorting of suspected cases, whether they are health workers or patients, and isolated patients and classifying them into groups, suspects or confirmed infections. Continuing to implement and monitor administrative controls, including preventing gathering of all kinds, approving sick leaves for those infected with COVID-19 and reducing the number of visitors in health institutions. Implementation of precautionary measures to prevent transmission of infection in health institutions and the presence of a team specialized in infection control in each institution to supervise the procedures and follow up infection data. The Environment Authority has planted 10,000 saplings of mangrove in the Wilayat of Shalim and the Halaniyat Islands, Dhofar Governorate, as part of the efforts made by the Environment Authority to implement the national initiative to plant 10 million trees and rehabilitate the khors in the Sultanate of Oman. The authority, in cooperation with the Petroleum Development Oman or PDO, has planted 10,000 saplings of mangrove trees in the khors in the Niyabat of Shawamiya that are located in the Wilayat of Shalim and the Halaniyat Islands, Environment Authority said in a statement. The Ministry of Labour has announced the availability of a number of vacancies in private sector institutions that are operated in Al-Dakhliya Governorate. A statement issued online by the Labour Ministry said the following. The Ministry of Labour announces the availability of job opportunities in the private sector institutions operating in Al-Dakhliya Governorate for various specializations and qualifications through the Job Opportunity Service on the Ministry's website, which is www.mol.gov.om. With that, we'll take a short break and we'll be back with the international news. Stay tuned.
Oman's largest online supermarket now has no minimum order limit. From grocery to household items, Rafiq has everything that you want. Enjoy worry-free shopping with over 8,000 products to choose from and get it delivered straight to your doorstep. Rafiq, you order, we deliver.
Welcome back to Midday Update. Now for the international stories. The World Health Organization warned on Wednesday that public health officials had to do everything in their power to prevent sustained transmission of monkeypox infections before it reaches vulnerable groups. I'm concerned about sustained transmission because it would suggest that the virus is establishing itself and it could move into high-risk groups including children, the immunocompromised and pregnant women, WHO Chief Tedros Adhanom Ghebreyesus said in Geneva. As of June 28th, the US Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, or CDC, listed more than 4,700 cases in countries where no previous monkeypox outbreaks had occurred. In addition, there were about 60 cases in African countries that have seen waves of the virus in the past. The WHO also reported more than 1,500 suspected cases from these countries at the beginning of June. Last week, the majority on an emergency committee of independent experts had voted against declaring a public health emergency of international concern, or PHEIC, which would beat the WHO's highest alert level. The PHEIC level has only been used 6 times and is currently applied to the COVID-19 pandemic. Though the committee voted against declaring an emergency, it left no doubt that the situation was serious, Tedros said. 11 of the experts were deciding against declaring an emergency, while 3 were in favor, he added. They advised that I should reconvene them quickly based on the evolving situation, which I will do, Tedros said. Monkeypox is an infectious viral disease. Symptoms include fever and rash. Doctors have said most patients recover from it, though it can cause some lasting damage. Russian President Vladimir Putin on Wednesday warned Finland and Sweden that if they welcome NATO troops and military infrastructure onto their territory, Moscow will respond in kind. While addressing a news conference in Turkmenistan, Putin said the following: "Only we must clearly and precisely understand, while there was no threat before in the case of military contingents and military infrastructure being deployed there, we will have to respond symmetrically and raise the same threats in those territories from where threats have arisen for us," Russian President said, as quoted by sources. He also said that Russia is not bothered if Sweden and Finland join NATO. Sweden and Finland are all set to formally end the decades of neutrality and join the North Atlantic Treaty Organization, or NATO, in a historic breakthrough for the alliance that deals a blow to Russian President Vladimir Putin. The last major hurdle to the two nations' entry to the bloc was removed when Turkey dropped its opposition on Tuesday, according to sources. That breakthrough came during a NATO summit in Madrid that had already become one of the most consequential meetings in the history of the military alliance. After Turkey lifted its opposition, US President Joe Biden on Wednesday thanked his Turkish counterpart Recep Tayyip Erdogan at the start of a meeting. Turkey has been in discussions with Russia about exporting grain from Ukraine. Erdogan said he hopes diplomacy will help to get grain out of Ukraine, sources reported. Meanwhile, the NATO summit began in Madrid on Tuesday, allowing the Western military alliance to show a joint front against Moscow and start the process of Finland and Sweden's inclusion in the alliance. This summit comes as Turkey lifted its veto over Finland and Sweden's bid to join NATO, ending a dispute that tested the unity of the alliance amid the Ukraine conflict. This deal signals a significant shift in security dynamics in Europe as the Nordic countries abandon their decade-long neutrality to enter the military alliance. Amid the fuel shortage in the country, Sri Lankan President Gotabaya Rajapaksa is expected to visit the United Arab Emirates in the coming weeks to procure fuel. While addressing a news conference on Tuesday, Sri Lankan Prime Minister Mahidananda Alutagamaje said the Russian ambassador to Sri Lanka had initiated the discussion to facilitate the telephonic conversation between President Rajapaksa and Russian President Vladimir Putin to reach an agreement for the procurement of fuel. The MP said the government had formulated a comprehensive mechanism to ensure continuous fuel supply after July 10th. Alutagamaje said the president was constantly in contact with the Indian Prime Minister, Petroleum Resource Minister and Foreign Minister to procure fuel from India. He said the president had a discussion with the 7 fuel importers to Sri Lanka and took steps to resolve issues concerning fuel supply. Meanwhile, Sri Lanka's Postal Department decided to open posts and sub-port offices 3 days a week, considering transport and travelling difficulties. Earlier, the Indian oil subsidiary in Sri Lanka, IOC, Indian Oil Corporation, announced to restrict the sale of petrol to a maximum of ₹7,000 for 4-wheelers with immediate effect. Lanka IOC is the only private oil company that operates retail petrol and diesel stations in Sri Lanka. Considering the rapid decline in fuel supply, the Sri Lankan government restricted issuing fuel to private vehicles and announced providing fuel only for essential services with effect from Monday night. He also assured that a mechanism to provide a continuous supply of LPG gas and fuel would be in place after the 10th of July. Those were the international stories. We'll take a short break and we'll be back with the sports news. Stay tuned.
Oman's largest online supermarket now has no minimum order limit. From grocery to household items, Rafiq has everything that you want. Enjoy worry-free shopping with over 8,000 products to choose from and get it delivered straight to your doorstep. Rafiq, you order, we deliver.
Welcome back to Midday Update. Now for the sports stories. US Open champion Emma Raducanu was knocked out of the women's singles second round, while her British compatriot Andy Murray also ended his journey in the men's singles at the Wimbledon Championships on Wednesday. Raducanu, who's 19, couldn't find her sharpness on court and struggled with her serve on a somewhat windy day. On the contrary, her French opponent Caroline Garcia played at a high level from the start to wrap up the match on centre court 6-4-3 and 6-4-3. The teenager astonishingly reached the last 16 as a wildcard player at Wimbledon last year before causing more sensation by triumphing at the US Open. But she has been struggling to adapt to playing in the full tour this season so far with injuries and lackluster results. However, Raducanu didn't believe she was handling the burden of fame. Also in the centre court, three-time Grand Slam champion Murray failed to pass the 20th seed John Isner. European Le Mans Series LMGTE Championship leader Ahmed Al-Harthi returns to Italy later this week for the third round of the season at legendary Monza, where the Aston Martin racer is hoping to deliver another star performance and further enhance his points tally. After a memorable history-making weekend at Imola just over a month ago, where Oman's #1 racing driver stormed to a sensational maiden Elms race victory in the LMGTE class on only his second outing in the championship, more of the same is the target just days from now. Of course, Al-Harthi and teammates Sam Dehaan and Aston Martin factory driver Marco Sorensen do not take the challenge lightly, not least due to how their 2022 campaign in the Elms began at Paul Ricard in France in April lap 1 contact using immediate retirement with broken steering. Bouncing back in the best possible style with an outstanding performance weekend long in Imola, the Oman racing trio were exceptional. Flawless in qualifying, Al-Harthi dominated to secure a dream LMGTE pole position. He was then faultless in the 4-hour race, where he set things up perfectly for the victory bid with a superb double stint, calmly dealing with several full-course yellow and safety car interventions and never putting a wheel wrong. Dehaan completed R3 of the race before Sorensen took the run to the flag in R4, winning a lap clear of the sister TF Sport Run Oman racing car. It is that same teamwork which the squad is determined to replicate at legendary Monza this coming weekend, 2nd-3rd July, a track where Al-Harthi and Oman Racing have enjoyed great success in the past in GT3 racing. Oman's racing first track time at Monza with the number 69 Aston Martin Vantage GTE will come on Friday 1st July, with the opening free practice ahead of a standalone session for the bronze-graded drivers such as Al-Harthi. Free practice 2 will take place on Saturday 2nd July with LMGT qualifying beginning at 1:40 local time. Those are local, international and sports stories for the day. For more updates, stay tuned and keep watching TTV.
You've just heard the live feed from the TTV studios on TFM 95.4. Let's talk.